Here is another fun educational game for kids being homeschooled. Again, I've got some wonderful tips for parents during quarantine here in part 5 of my series. Hi, I'm Matt DeMayo, and welcome to my channel, Be Smarter, Faster. Today I've got a great game that is not only a lot of fun for smaller children, but will help with one of the most common problems that kids ever face, and that is overcoming a fear of math. This game is super effective, and it's a very entertaining way of helping children experience how arithmetic works in the real world. It's a visual and tangible way to teach addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you know that one of my core beliefs is that school is very good at teaching kids what to learn, but not necessarily how to learn it. That is a job that's up to us, the parents. Rather than attempting to teach formal subjects the way your child normally gets them in school, let's take a look at how you can improve their overall ability to learn everything and anything. Please, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you can do so now. And be sure to hit that little bell icon notification button so that you are alerted every time I release a brand new video. This is a fun but ultra-effective way to teach addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division while allowing them to experience what those things mean for themselves. They get to see how arithmetic works in the real world. I call it all the marbles. Look, it makes sense, doesn't it? When someone can see how to use an idea, then they're more likely to embrace it and absorb it more completely, rather than resisting it. The only thing you're going to need to play this game is a bag of marbles or a whole bunch of buttons or some other similar items. In a pinch, you can even use a pile of Cheerios. I've got some white beads here, both big ones like that and little ones here in the bag. And I've also got some crystals that my wife gave me. She would use these in the bottom of the fish tank or in the bottom of a vase to hold it down with the flowers. We're going to use the beads instead of marbles. And the game here is designed to allow children to visualize and experience arithmetic. So instead of addition and subtraction just being numbers on a piece of paper or something that their teacher makes them do in class that bores the heck out of them or even worse, confuses them, this will be a tangible way that they can relate to this in the real world. Okay, we're going to start by sitting across from your child with a bunch of beads. All right, so I'm going to use the small ones for now. I've got a great idea for using the big ones in a moment. I'll show you that in a second. But maybe you're sitting on the floor or on the table, and so I'm going to take a bunch of these out. Now again, as I said, if you don't have beads or marbles, you can use Cheerios or buttons or anything that's similar. And then you want to give them the idea of how this works. So you start with a pile, and then the idea is you want to show them how you're going to begin to add, and you're going to count by twos. So you're going to move 2 beads over to another pile, and you're going to say, all right, now I want you to add 2 beads and tell me how many we've got. So you say 2, then they say 4, and 6, and 8, and 10, and 12, and so on. As soon as you think they've got the idea, then you're going to begin the game for real by counting by 3s. Okay, so we've got 3, and then they go, and they say 6, and you say 9, and hopefully they'll say 12, and if they don't, have them count them up. So 9, and they put them down one at a time. 10, 11, 12, and then you take 3, 15, and then they take 3, and if they can't do it off the top of their head, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now, As soon as somebody makes a mistake, the other person, the winner, gets all the marbles. Now, if you don't have enough, sometimes what you can use is you can use these larger marbles that I've got. So this indicates, okay, that's a winner. So you want to see how many of the big ones you can collect. Or you can use other stuff too. Okay, so at the beginning, be sure to make a couple of simple mistakes. Do it on purpose. Be sure your child has a couple of easy wins so that they have the feeling of what it's like to get the reward. And if you do this early on, it'll make them more alert so that they're going to be trying to catch you making a mistake. In other words, they're going to pay attention to the game that much better, and their count will be more accurate. Now, you'll probably get the best results by skipping counting by 2s and 5s. That's too easy, except for the smallest of children. So you want to concentrate on counting by 3s, 4, 6, 7, and that's where you're going to get the best results. Okay, then reverse the idea. Start with a big pile and take away beads at the rate of 3 or 4 at a time. Now, what you want to do is you want to count the pile first, and if you're taking away 3, the other person has to say how many beads are left in the pile. So then they subtract 3, and you say how many beads are left in the pile. And you can do that with 3s and 4s or 6 at a time. Again, the other person has to be able to tell you how many beads are left in the pile. So you're going to use the word, all right, you subtract 3, I'll subtract 3. All right, this time you subtract 4, and I'll subtract 4. Or you can keep going by 4s or keep going by 6s and see how they do. Again, the winner gets a big marble. Or you could reward them with a snack. Maybe give them a cracker or some candy. Maybe some M&Ms would work good. Okay, now let's talk about how to do it with multiplication. So I'm going to show you, all right, I'm going to put a big bead out. I'm going to take a couple of the bigger ones out. If you don't have big beads or big marbles, maybe that's where you're going to put down a cracker or something, because now what you want to do is you want to show, okay, 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, 5 time. And now what you're going to do is you're going to say, all right, I'm going to put out 3 beads 1 time, and now I'm going to put out 3 beads 2 times, and I'm going to put out 3 beads 3 times. Okay, how many little beads did I put out? Now they'll get the idea of how many times you put out 3, how many times you put out 4 or 6 or 8. Now the times table is not some hard concept. They'll understand that it's how many times something happens, rather than the times table being some thing that they've got to memorize that causes them all kinds of stress. As you go, increase the number of groups and ask them, how many times did I put out 4 beads? How many times did I put out 7 beads? And again, this makes the whole idea a real thing instead of being just some concept that they have to memorize. Do it with the 4s, with the 7s, with the 9s. You'll be amazed at just how much fun you have and how fast they'll get it. Okay, now let's talk about division. Take a pile of beads that you've already counted out, and then you're going to divide them by 2. All right, so here we're going to use 2 big beads, or 2 big marbles, or crackers, or whatever. And one's for you, one's for your child. And now we're going to divide the pile by 2. And they can see, here's 2. And now, all right, this one gets 2, and this one gets 2, and this one gets 2. And now, after you've divided out the piles, how many times did you divide the piles? Well, you divided 2 times into the 20 marbles. And how many marbles do you have? Well, that's 10. You can do the same thing with 3 or 4. All right, so you say take the same 20 beads, and now we're going to divide it into 4 piles and 5 piles and so on. Now, you can also use imaginary players. By the way, if you have more than one child, each child can have their own pile, and now you're dividing it by 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, however many you've got there. And now they'll understand that the concept of dividing is the same thing as, all right, we're going to split it up evenly. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this short video. Use your imagination and your creativity to add different elements to the game. Feel free to customize it in whatever ways work best for you and for your child. The most important thing to do is to have fun as you teach these lessons. Look, it's important that your child has strong, positive connections associated with doing math. It's one of the most valuable things that any human being can have. Now, if you found this video to be helpful, please be sure to give it a like by clicking that thumbs up button. And help spread the word to other folks that you think might benefit from this lesson. Please post a comment. I read almost all of them, and I reply to all of the ones that I think are appropriate. So don't be surprised if you hear from me. Thanks for joining me here. As always, this is Matt DeMayo, reminding you that everything I teach does take a little bit of work and effort. But I promise you, it's worth it. Always remember that the fastest way to get to the top is to get off your bottom. Thanks for joining me on this video, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next one.